Welcome to Whisky.com, where fine spirits meet. My name is Lüning, Horst Lüning, and I'm the master taster of Whisky.com. Today I taste the Benriach Madeira Finish. 15 years old, 46% ABV, yes, and not too cheap, quite expensive. Close to $50, 50 euros, 50 pounds, whatever. This bottle is a finished, or contains a finished whiskey. That means it was first matured in an ex-bourbon oak cask, reused oak cask, so the aroma transfer from the wood into the whiskey was very low, very small, and the whiskey was not very intense. But the young aromas inside a whiskey were converted already to more complex aromas, so the youngness, the metallic taste of a young whiskey had already vanished. But the whiskey hasn't acquired enough taste from the wood. What to do? Fill it into another cask, in this case in a cask from the Isle of Madeira, where a strong wine, a fortified wine, is produced, and this wine is an oxidized wine, so the wine is heated up to 70 degrees centigrade and mixed so that the oxidation inside the wine is moving forward very fast, and the wine is becoming darker and darker and more intense. And the wine is fortified with a brandy from the identical grapes. So the ABV inside the wine is lifted close to 20%, which is not possible to achieve by normal yeast. The yeast kills itself at 14-15% ABV. So the Benriach Distillery was sold from the Chivers and Glenlivet group to a South African company, and a beer company. And now this beer company had to live with the casks they bought with the distillery. And lots of those casks were reused ex-bourbon casks with quite weak whiskies in it, already matured, no longer sharp and young, but weak, not very intense. The oak was already sucked out by the whiskies which lay before in those casks. So what to do? Take different casks and do a finishing, a second maturation. And when the second cask is very fresh, then you may finish the whiskey for 6 months. If it's used one time for 6 months, you may add another 6 for the next batch, or 12 months, 18 months, up to 24 months is typical for a finishing period for a single malt whiskey. Let's have a look at the bottle. It says Madeira wood finish, Benriach. It's a whiskey from the Speyside, from the very heart of the Speyside. It has 46 ABV, and yes, it's non-chill filtered and natural color. In the back we have a description: located in the northeast region of Morayshire, the heartland of malt Scotch whisky, Benriach displays all the traditional charm of a Speyside distillery. Yes, they have malting floors there. They were refabricated or remade in 1995, but then the distillery was mothballed, and the maltings were never run again. So then they were sold, and I think they went into production in 2003, 2006, around that period. And they never started the maltings, but I heard they will. They soon will. In the meantime, they have a visitor center, I think, in one of the old malting houses. Matured in the traditional style in American bourbon barrels, the whiskey is then finished in Madeira barrels, sourced from the semi-tropical Portuguese island of Madeira, hundreds of miles off the coast of northwest Africa in the Atlantic Ocean. During this second period of maturation, the whiskey derives many interesting characteristics specific to the Madeira barrel. The Madeira barrel is quite comparable to a sherry or a port wine cask, but the Madeira wine is a little bit different because it's a wine from an island. It's artificially oxidized in big vessels, in big vats, and heated up to 70 degrees centigrade to have this oxidation of the wine moving forward. So, yeah. Somewhere I read tasting notes. I think it was on the back of the tube. Yes, nose, vanilla and spices with watermelon and peaches, with a rich backdrop of Madeira and oakwood. Color is gold, yes. That means that the finishing time wouldn't be too long, I guess 6 months. The tastes, an avalanche of butterscotch, hazelnut, peaches and spices with a rich Madeira finish. Very strong and spicy already on the nose, with an underlying vanilla floor, very intense. The oak is there, quite strong, yes. And the peaches and the watermelon, I don't know. There's some kind of fruitiness and a little sweetness in it. Yeah, the vanilla is quite intense. The spices of the oak wood of the European Madeira cask is very, very strong. And those 6 or 12 months of finishing period brings a lot of spices into the whiskey, and together with a butterscotch, with a toffee aroma on your tongue, and it's becoming sweeter. And in the back there's a very, very light bitterness deriving from the oak. Peaches, no longer there. Perhaps this sharpness, this intense spiciness come from some hazelnut. Yes, probably. Hazelnut is quite sharp for me, personally. For me, walnut is even more intense for me. And in the aftertaste, there's this Madeira. Madeira, Madeira, my dear, is so much better than beer. Ooh, an old tale. I like it very much. Very spicy, very strong, but not that alcoholic. Thank you for watching Whisky.com, and stay tuned, there will be more.